And boom. Hey up, troops. Hey, Littleton here again with an...
You're already dead.
I'm already dead. Cheers, Deimos. I'm getting tracked now with another video, and it's time to look at how to play Deimos. We're going to look at his loadout, going to look at a few tips and tricks, the mechanics behind what his gadget does, and a few things... There's one big thing, right? Spoiler alert, don't get tunnel vision. And it's like the sort of the premise of the whole video. It's what every Deimos player does. There's loads of tips on how to not do that. And also a few other things and some best practice on how to play Deimos. Fingers crossed it helps you out if you want to learn how to play him. I actually don't play Deimos that much because in my opinion it goes to a fragger. I'm not a fragger, I play heavy support. But those out there that do want to play Deimos or want to learn how to play Deimos, this is the one for you. Right, that's enough waffling. Let's get stuck into it. Okay, so let's have a quick look at Deimos' loadout. He's got the AK-74M, the M590A1, the Vendetta or .44 Vendetta, frags, and a hard breach charge. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that frags are better than hard breaches on Deimos because we'll see later on in the video, frags literally play into Deimos' ability. So frags are a must. The Vendetta, you don't have much choice there. In my opinion, when it comes to secondary weapon, I would definitely take the Vendetta over anything else that doesn't exist. You then got the AK or the M590A1. The Vendetta scope is quite small, isn't brilliant at long range. It's okay. It's not great at long range. The scope, that is, the weapon's fine. Therefore, in my opinion, I like taking the AK with an ACOG for a bit of range. Obviously, you can swap that to a 1X if you fancy it. The shotgun, I don't think you get a great deal of use out of a shotgun with Deimos because if you're going to be up close and personal with someone, it's probably because you're tracking them, in which case you're forced to have the Vendetta out anyway. So I think longer range fights, you want to take the AK, and then you use shorter range fights, or for when you're tracking, you take the Vendetta. So let's kick things off with some basic timings about Fenrir. So Fenrir gets 3 tracks. You only get the first track 5 seconds into the round. You don't get it straight away. And you can only track someone that's been identified on the match header at the top. You can see Deimos, then the time, and then the defense symbol and a question mark. Now I can tell you, little spoiler alert here, that Fenrir is here in Kids Hall. But we don't know that he's there. Obviously, during a game, you wouldn't know that he was there. This is obviously just a mock-up scenario. So if I try and use my track now, it says no available targets on the screen. Now, one little thing, the obvious thing you can do is you can come into wherever the defenders are, you can scan with your drone, wait till that bar goes to the top, and you'll identify Fenrir. A nice little thing to do, which is, and the reason I've thrown this gadget on the wall, is you can actually ping gadgets, and that will identify them on the match header bar instead. So I can ping this Fenrir gadget here. You can see now Fenrir is identified at the top, which is a really nice, useful thing to do. And this is why IQ is has great synergy with Deimos, because IQ can be outside and just pinging gadgets. Sorry, bear with me. I can't concentrate while shoot the radio. Right, so what IQ can be outside, scanning, you can see the gadgets outside, you can ping the gadgets as IQ, and that will identify the operators for Deimos. So really good synergy between IQ and Deimos. So when you want to scan someone, press and hold your gadget button, you'll see this bar go up. It takes about 2 seconds for the bar to go up, but there's some delays that you need to be aware of when it comes to scanning. So we'll start the first scan. It then takes 3 seconds for the scan to take effect. And now this is a live ping for the next 14 seconds. If I just run on in here and then jump on the other PC, if I move around with Fenrir, you can see that is as live a ping as you're going to get. There's no like blinks in between. There's no sort of breaks in between. It's not a ping every half a second. It's as live a ping as you're ever going to get. However, bear in mind, a defender will get a ping on Deimos every 1 second. So when you start scanning from here, the defender knows you're here, and the defender will get a ping another second later. So yes, you get a live ping. You definitely have the advantage, but a defender will know that you're coming. They're not completely unaware of where you are. They get a ping every 1 second as well. You have a cooldown period. We'll scan again. You can see you got another 14-second scan here, and we can run around, and I'll run around over to big window. You can see it's as live a ping as you're going to get. Running around in circles there, and obviously it's the same above and below. So Deimos is really good vertically, but we'll come on to that. And then the scan is over, and you've got a cooldown period on the right-hand side, as you can see. And is that it's about 8 second cooldown, I'd say, and then you can go again. So the scan, you get 3 of those total around. The gun is so good. I really like the ADS time on the Vendetta is a shambles. It's so fast. But yeah, that's around the timing. So 3 scans. The scans last 14 seconds. It takes 3 seconds to start the scan, and the operators must be identified before you can start the scan. Are we going to hit the hipfire headshot to end this clip? Yeah, come on. So we mentioned verticality before, and this is where Deimos really comes into his own. So let's just say we're sending a drone up white stairs. Oh, spoiler alert. We've got a Rooney playing a really solid anchor spot on Oregon back here in what's called Hobo. You can hold big window from here. You can hold the trophy door from there. Really nice place to play. You can, in fact, let me just show you, because if you might want to start doing this on defense. So, oh, I can't go through that. Let me do this with a Rooney. Hang on a minute. Actually, if I bring... Sorry, I'm having to think about this. If I bring a Rooney over, that'll disable the gate, and then I can walk through without taking any damage. Right, so why this... I mean, we're going off piece here, but why this spot's really solid is you can hold the window there. You can hold the trophy door from there. But also, if nobody's on big window, you can go around to where there's normally head holes here. And that now is the closet breach that goes out towards master bedroom. So this is a really solid place to play. You can even make head holes here. Bear with me a second. I probably should use the Vendetta for this. And now you can even see the attic rotate from there as well. All from back here. Like, you can get 6 or 7 angles from here. It's a really solid place to play. The only thing is, which we'll come on to now, the floor is soft. So let's just take our scenario back downstairs. Thank you, Rooney. Right, so we are... Let me just put a Rooney back over in the corner. I do apologise about this. I probably should edit it out, but I won't. Right, so we've got a drone going up white stairs. We know there's one in white stairs somewhere. They're not identified, but, you know, we get here. We see there's an Aruni. We can either scan or, like we said before, ping the gadget. Okay, Aruni's now identified. Where Deimos comes into his own with the verticality is you can just completely flush Aruni out of there now. Aruni knows as soon as she gets scanned that she can't stand there because it's soft floor. So the scan goes in. Aruni now is going to be alerted to being here somewhere. There she is. Aruni is going to have to then run away, leave that position behind, but also then open herself up to getting shot from one of those angles we mentioned. Or you can obviously shoot from underneath. I've just shot between her legs there. That's absolutely insane. You can also just shoot from underneath if you want to. This is actually a really good example of... Let me just open a bit more of an angle here. A really good example of when you're playing Deimos from below, how you need to be ideally directly underneath them before you start shooting, because the angles of the operator can be quite tricky. Let me show you where the scan is. Oh, I forgot about that. Let me show you where the scan is registered. The scan and the ping that you get is registered between the feet. Now, why that's important is if you're down here, like where we just were, you can see that ping is between the feet there. So directly underneath is where they're going to be. If you're on an angle like this, you see the ping there, you want to shoot higher up than the ping itself, because the ping is directly between the feet. So if you're playing below and you're directly underneath, shoot directly up. But if you're like outside this window, which you can also get a good angle on, by the way, if you're ever struggling to clear Hobo, you should come to this window. You can do it pretty much from the safety of outside. You can clear anyone that stood there. But if you scan again, you see that ping. We know where they are now. Obviously, we're going to shoot slightly higher up, and the ping will come between the legs. You want to be shooting higher up, and that's going to get them out of there. But yeah, being able to scan from below, there's a ton of places where this is useful. Think about like half wall on border. Think about the CEO plant on consulate. There's loads of places where you want to try and flush people out vertically. So let's talk counters then. We've got Vigil here, who's one of the main counters. One thing I'm not going to bother showing you a clip of is if you're stood in the range of a mute jammer, you can't get scanned. There's not a lot to show you. You just stand next to a mute jammer within the range of it, and Deimos can't scan you. It completely mutes the scan. Vigil is an interesting counter because it works in 2 ways. So I'll start the scan now. I've got Deimos outside, scan beginning. And if you put your cloaking device on before that scan starts, it completely fails the scan. So I can see on my other monitor from the other PC, it says death mark failed. However, if we do the scan again, the Deimos scan, but we don't put our cloaking device on until the scan started, bear with me, just start the scan over there we go. Wait until we get tracked. You can see now we're getting tracked. And now the device will stop us getting tracked, but look down in the bottom left corner. If we turn that off, the track will continue. Turn that back on, the track stops. Turn it back on, the track will continue. Turn it off, the track stops. It's interesting because you can kind of play with Deimos a little bit to say sort of like, this is where I am, put your device on, run downstairs, then sort of turn it back off again, let him know that you got a ping down there, then run somewhere else. But you can play with the Deimos a little bit. However, bear in mind that if Deimos starts the scan and you start this cloaking device before the scan starts, it completely nullifies the scan. Deimos also gets that scan back. It doesn't waste the scan. Deimos does get that scan back. And if we just go and have a look at where he is doing all this sort of stuff, he's right out here. Don't know why I'm prone. So yeah, you can start. If I'll show you. I don't know if is there an animation if Deimos has his scan failed. So I'm starting the scan now. If I cancel that, no, so there's no animation. But on the other screen, it says death mark failed, and he does get that scan back. But remember, if you let the scan start and then put your cloaking device on, the scan will go ahead. It will use his scan, so you could play with it a little bit. You know, you could try and... Yes, you can stop the scan if you need to, but you could also waste it by letting it start and then starting your visual device, which is an interesting... Vigil is definitely, like, the most dynamic one. You can, like, play with it a little bit. I really like it. The next interesting counter is Tuber Out. Now, Tuber Out is a little bit similar to Vigil. You throw the canister on the floor, and as long as you're stood in the area of the canister, if it's before the track starts, you will stop the track, and Deimos will still get that one back. But if you then stand in the ice after it's begun, it will get used. It's very similar to what we did with Vigil. So we'll start the track. Okay, I'm getting tracked by Deimos. You throw that on the floor. The track's now been... even if you run out of here, the track never started because it got rejected by the ice or countered by the ice, whatever you want to say. However, let's start the track again. This time, we'll let it begin. Okay, we're being tracked. We stand in the ice. Now Deimos can't track us. You can see that bottom left. But if we step out the ice, now we are tracked. Back into the ice. Now we're not tracked. Out the ice. Now we're not. Now we're not. You get it. It's very similar to Vigil, but obviously just only in this range. That's also the same as the mute jammer, by the way. If you're standing in the range of a mute jammer at the start of a track, it won't begin. If you go into the range of a mute jammer during the track, it'll stop the track whilst you're in the range of it. But if you go out of the range of it again, it will start again. So you can kind of, with almost every counter, you can stop the track by being in that counter to begin with. Although if you let the track start and then go into the counter, then it'll obviously it won't know where you are. But then if you step out of the effects of the two-brow canister or out of the effects of the mute jammer, it will then know where you are. I think the best tip and advice I can give you when it comes to Deimos is to not get tunnel visioned, especially early on in the round when there's still 4 or 5 defenders left up. The amount of Deimos, is that a word? The amount of Deimos players I've killed when they're running through the map trying to find their target is insane. And if you're a defender, you should definitely try and bait them out as well. You know, if you've got someone on the stairs here, the Deimos is going to be running this to the stairs to try and find that track. If you have somebody on split and you just bait them through. So the example I'm going to give here is just like a made-up scenario, but okay, we're going to get the scan off. Okay, we can see that Mozzie's going to be top main stairs somewhere. He's there. So what you don't want to do as Deimos now is you now don't want to go, right, okay, let's find this Mozzie. We're going to get this guy, you know, and run up to the top of the stairs. Because think about where you've just ran in through the front door there. You've got classroom, split both sides, garage, tight on the stairs here, basement stairs. Top of the stairs, you've got armory. You might have feet holes in master. All those different angles, but you're absolutely buzzing to get to that scan. I can't stress. I mean, I should have clips, and I haven't because I'm not very good at doing my job. Well, it's not my job, but I'm not really good at doing my hobby here when it comes to keeping clips and things like that. I really should get better at that when I'm streaming. I have so many clips of, or should have so many clips of where, like, I've done, like, we've managed to counter Deimos by doing certain things, but I just don't have them to hand. That's a cool story. I don't know why I'm telling you that. Anyway, my point is, don't just, when you're playing Deimos, you can't get tunnel visioned. Let's just say you scan someone and they're top white and you're here. But what you don't want to do is then be like, okay, top right. Well, let's just jump in. Let's just jump in here. We know they're top white. In we go. And now you're like trying to scan the guy that's top white. You've not considered shower hall. You've not considered dining. You've not considered security or Z or Z or freezer stairs. You just, you see it all the time. Deimos players get a live ping. They get excited and they're like a dog with a ball. They're like, yeah, okay, he's up here. He's up here. Go, go, go. And they die to a different angle on the way. It happens all the time. So don't get tunnel vision. Use it as a team. Okay, let's find out where Mozzie is. Okay, Mozzie is top main. Okay, well, one of the best things you could do here is likely go upstairs and try and cut him off from the run back to site. Or even try and wallbang from here. The thing to do is not run through the map getting excited that you can see that ping. Please don't get tunnel visioned with Deimos. Secondary gadget is really important with Cade as well. We've got a scenario here where we've got Cade behind the half wall. And what we're going to do is scan him. He's going to be stuck behind the half wall. And you see this a lot with Deimos. You're going to have people like sort of hiding behind solid walls, waiting for you to peek them. But then you're waiting for them to peek you. And you get into a bit of a stalemate where you both know where each other are, but you can't do anything about it. That's where the nades come in. Incredibly useful. So we'll get the scan off on Cade. Bear in mind, we're going to have to try and do this on a second keyboard here as well. So then we know he's behind this half wall. He's not peeking us. We're not peeking him. So we throw the nade. That's enough to get him out of there. So then he'll have to cross. And you see he's crossed, obviously, then you can push in and be a bit more aggressive. But one, it's great for getting him out of this area because he could have just, like, stood here and hid here the whole time. Didn't have to move. But ideally what would happen is as you flush him out of there, you're ready and waiting with that vendetta to get him as he crosses. Obviously, I couldn't do it then because I had my hand on the other keyboard, but you get what I mean. The nades are incredibly useful when you're playing Deimos. Cheers, Cade. So my last 2 points with Deimos and being a good Deimos for your team, I can't really like generate a situation in a custom game with 2 PCs. It isn't possible. I just need to tell you about them, and then you take my advice and we'll walk around conscious as we do it. I don't have clips of it. I don't really play Deimos that much because I tend to leave the fragging for better fraggers than me, but I mean, I know how to play the guy. The 2 things that make you a good Deimos is to kind of... You've got to have someone who you know on your team. You've got to be playing with at least a 2. And you can play with a Deimos and someone who's good at tracking people down and rushing people down. A Blackbeard, a Blitz. Monty maybe a little bit too slow. Blitz and Blackbeard definitely. But what you can do is you can track someone. You say you get a track on someone here in Lounge. You can be in lobby and you say, yeah, he's in Lounge. And you can just essentially track him, but not hunt him. You can then hold the flank. And you can say, yeah, he's in Lounge. Okay, where is he now? Okay, he's pushed into piano. He's like over this. He's behind this ping. Try and wallbang maybe as he runs away. But don't forget you'd have your pistol out, obviously. But you're giving information constantly to your Blackbeard or your Blitz or your Ash or whatever operator your teammate wants to use to push him down. Okay, he's just got into piano and you're pushing it. And they're constantly, the defenders will be completely distracted by the Deimos ping. Obviously, Deimos will be trying to like hit wallbangs as well, causing problems. But you just constantly relay, okay, he's gone down back into small box. He's trapped in small box. You're making a, I'm making this scenario up, but you have to believe me. And then Blitz and Blackbeard push and you clear them out that way. The other thing that and this isn't really a tip, there's no really things to say here, but no real things to show here, sorry, but Deimos is incredibly good when the numbers go in the attacker's favor. So as soon as you're in a 5v3, a 4v2, a 3v1, 3v2 even, that's when Deimos shines. That's when tracking someone really, really helps. 5v5, I don't think the track does a great deal. You can push them out of certain areas. If someone's anchoring in here, you can push them out if you need to, wherever it might be. But when your team is in the ascendancy, that's when Deimos is world class. But yeah, those 2 things will make you a better Deimos player. Wait until you got the ascendancy if you can. Force players out of positions. This is 3 things. Force players out of positions by tracking them because they'll want to back off. And also just constantly relay information to your teammates who's hunting down the enemy player that you're tracking. I just saw an interesting animation there with Deimos. If you shoot, he uses his thumb to recock the pistol. See that? So, how are we just firing 6 in a row without recocking the hammer? Interesting. I only just noticed that animation. Anyway, that's Deimos for you. There we have it. Big Deimos guide done for 2025. Things have changed a little bit with Deimos, I feel, because I feel people don't just think he's an out-and-out fragger. I feel like he kind of is an out-and-out entry, but at the same time, I feel like he clears areas well, which entry players don't normally do. You can track someone and it'll push them away, whereas an entry operator wouldn't normally do that. You think of Ash, Old Zafir, and other entry-style operators. Iona when she used to be an entry-up, Finker when she used to be an entry-up, that type of thing. But they wouldn't be able to force players away from where they were going in, which is something Deimos can do well. So I think he's kind of like entry flex sort of thing, kind of like in between the 2. But there we go. That's how to play him if you want to. Thank you as always for getting involved with the channel. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't put a comment already, please put one if you haven't. I've got a Sharpie S gel pen. You can comment that if you so desire. Or you can put whatever you want. Oh yeah, by the way, the thumbs up really helps. I've got a charm in the game somehow, don't know how. Incredibly grateful for that. So if you want the charm, you can sub on Twitch just once. You only got to do it once. Link your Twitch and Ubi account, and the charm will be unlocked forever. And that about wraps it up for this one, I think. Thank you as always. I genuinely mean that. I appreciate everything you do for me. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.